Welcome to the Fitness League. Switching it up on you guys, throwing you a curveball. As you can probably see, we have someone else sitting in your chair.
We're gonna need a new setup here, but for now, this works. Who is it?
If you are, hang on. If you are watching this on YouTube, sorry for the awkwardness of hovering on this mic, trying to make all of the audio work for this episode. But in your usual chair, we have one of our business partners. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Joelle Cavagnaro, on Instagram, Joelle Samantha. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, first and foremost. We go way back, and
well, I think it's important to say you're not just a guest today.
Nor am I just a business partner, okay?
Nor you're
that
just
was a little
partner.
Informal, Josh. I'm a little offended.
Okay, to go full transparency, she is one of our only friends in the whole world. we're down to 3, and the other one of the 3 is her husband.
A few episodes back.
And one is her kid.
Yeah, a few episodes back, we talked about how we have like 2 friends, and here
this
we go.
is one of them.
Yep, here she is.
This is one of them.
And same.
We decided that if we're going to continue to be in business, we're just adopting all of our friends as business partners. So making it super clean. But this is the new norm. Here to Evolve is no more. If you guys saw the announcement today, we are officially business partners on a new level. SD Evolution, Level 10, Here to Evolve podcast are all gone. So we did just come together. This has been months in the making to form Levolution Coaching. Why don't you explain that name?
Levolution. Oh, I wish I had.
Who's got that definition?
I wish I had
You explain the combo. We'll pull the definition.
You know, it's funny because it started off as a joke, like full blown, like haha.
Like, if we merged SD Evolution and Level 10, and then anytime we talked about like the potential of merging, it was like, well, if we do Levolution, because it just the actual names of Level 10 and SD Evolution made sense that we joked around and called it Levolution. And then one of us looked up the definition of Levolution to see if there was a definition, to see if it was actually a word that had a definition.
A meaning, if it was a real thing. So this joke turned into a real thing when we looked this up. Levolution, the process of Levolution, created the levels of organization in the universe. Levolution is a thermodynamically driven process that results in new energy flowing systems on a new and higher level of order. So we kind of evaluated that as the evolution of SD Evolution and of Level 10 to create this new higher level thing, this higher level of coaching, this perfectly harmonious partnership. And it just worked out. If you guys can see my hat, if you're watching on YouTube, if you guys know who we are, if you've seen our logo before for SD Evolution, it was this flame. And, utilize the fact that thermodynamics were built into this, the concept of thermal energy, heat.
It all
metabolism.
It all flows into
something like that.
It just makes sense though.
It did make sense because it was like, oh, this like new higher level of order, and like, oh, we kind of feel like we're doing that. The new era of health coaching in the industry. Yeah.
I'm a huge believer in things happening for a reason, like people entering our lives, good things, bad things. I know a lot of things you can't justify when it comes to bad things going on in the world, but in the grand scheme, I'm a huge believer in things happening for a reason, getting to certain places at certain times. And this was just like one of those, oh shit, like we were supposed to be here. We were supposed to have this conversation. This ridiculous name was supposed to be a thing.
Yeah. And I think we would joke about it here and there over the years. Obviously not super serious, but
I don't even remember joking about it.
I think we brought it up as a joke once.
I think it's made sense for a long time, but I don't even know if anyone has spoken that into air. So for those of you who don't know Joelle, I know most of you follow both of us, but if you don't, Level 10. I'm just the third wheel. No, you don't follow me.
This is actually just me and Alessandra in a relationship, and Josh is just the third wheel.
Well, I was just going to say, Level 10 really is the only other coaching business out there that I think does things pretty much like exactly how we have done them at SD Evolution. So when this first came about and this conversation started, all other things aside, knowing that our coaching process and like what we offered to our clients
values
was not going to shift because of this. Like that was the most important thing for both of us. And I think when we looked at things that way, it was like, well, yeah, like we're literally doing things exactly the same. Why are we doing things exactly the same on two separate paths parallel to each other?
And to steal a term from Joelle, like you put those two businesses together, you put these two faces of the franchise together, and you become unfuckwithable.
I did coin that term.
She coined it. We'll put it on the shirt.
I showed Brant that video that we used on Fuckable, and he just heard it. Like, he just heard me playing it in the background. He goes, "Don't you dare post that." And I'm like, "Josh will be so mad if we don't." He's like, "That's not professional, Joelle." Brant's always reeling us in with our creativity. I think that, you know, in terms of the merge, in terms of Levolution, there were several things about it that made sense. You know, like Alessandra just said, we have very similar values and very similar ways of coaching. We hire really experienced and evidence-based coaches. You know, we were already a team of like registered dietitians and pre and postnatal coaches and exercise physiologists. And then you look at your coaches' backgrounds and it's very similar. It's registered dietitians, it's exercise physiologists, it's athletic trainers. And there was a lot of overlap there. And so from a business standpoint, in terms of the quality of service that we could provide to clients, we knew that wouldn't shift, and that if anything, the merge would only improve quality. You know, it's already hard to improve perfection, but we'll try. No, but I think from a values standpoint and a quality service standpoint, we knew that a merge would be really cool. And there were different aspects of merging our companies that each of our audiences have not yet been exposed to. And so there are parts of coaching that will be a little bit different to, let's say, Alessandra's audience. And there will be parts of coaching and the SDE app that will be different for my side of the audience. And so it was cool to kind of be able to merge and play up on each other's strengths to see where we could fill gaps in the industry.
Yeah, and I want to be very clear, like, this whole thing is, I picture like a yin and yang, like when these two things come together, we're harmonious. We've done a good job, you know, nurturing our one-on-one community. I think there are a ton of things that you guys do extremely well that we have not even brought to this audience yet. You guys have mental health professionals. Pricing is a little bit different. There's a bit more nurturing from a community level that you guys do, which our community is going to love. So again, if you guys have reached out for a call with SD in the past year, prices are coming down. If you haven't been on our site in a while, we also offer a 30-day guarantee, which is going to carry over into Levolution. And again, you're going to have access to some amazing community calls and just resources in some different aspects. And then on our side, we also have the app. So we've built a great community over there. It's a little more, not a little more, it's significantly more affordable. You know, if you don't want to be all hands on with a coach, financial resources aren't in place where you can work with a coach, you can start with the app and get a ton of value. And there are some unbelievably incredible, game-changing, insert powerful adjective here, things happening on the back end when it comes to the app. And that's probably going to be, we're not going to dive into that here today, but
I'll just say, if you have been using the app, like even before it was an app, it was just Excel spreadsheets that we would send out to everybody monthly. You guys thought there was a huge shift when we switched over to our app that we're on now.
Wait until you see what happens next. That's
all I'm going to say, but that was nothing compared to what we have planned next.
Yes. Which I also feel like I know we can't say much yet about that, but I also feel like the merge makes a lot of sense to us as well because of that other project. And I think it will also make more sense to other people when that project goes public. Then it's like, oh, I see the whole zoom out big picture now.
It's all going to connect at the end.
There's just like, our goal here is to change the world, to make the world a healthier, happier place. If you guys have been listening to this podcast, it's always been our theme, but we've been hammering that home the last month. And that's the mission of Levolution. That's the mission of this additional project that's happening in the background right now. Whether you can afford coaching, whether you want a coach, being able to make that more accessible, being able to bring you the tools to create lasting change, to understand not only what am I doing now that's going to allow me to be successful, to achieve my goals, but how do I maintain those? How do I continue progressing on my own? That's been SD Evolution's mission. That's been Level 10's mission. That is Levolution's mission, to empower you guys to do this on your own. That's what makes us different from so many other platforms. It's not just, let's do well while we're together. It's let's make sure you feel good and you know how to be the change for yourself, for your family, lead by example, and understand how to continue this lifestyle, because it's not a challenge. It's not a short-term plan. It's not a program. It is a lifestyle. That's how you create lasting change. So bringing that to you guys, bringing this new aspect of the app to you guys, and just building the hell out of this community. There is not going to be another team in this industry, because we are shaking up the entire industry. That was the point of this power move. And I don't say that in a narcissistic way. I don't want it to come out that way. But our intentions are to make this more effective, reachable, keep you guys accountable, and bring you into a community that's actually going to impact you.
But also we have 13, I think, is our total of coaches, aside from us three.
Yep.
And as I was making some of the documents and things we've been working on the last how many days, just going through the list of credentials that our team we have now.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's literally, I don't even know what the total number. It was like 30 something different certifications and degrees, and we have PhDs. I mean, we have every possible health and fitness certification you could ever think of. And I think just that alone speaks for the wide variety of humans that we can help.
Yeah.
And
we are not your cousin's health coach.
Johnny Hot Sauce.
Johnny Hot Sauce. Joelle listens to our podcast, the Here to Evolve podcast, in like 4-minute segments.
Yes,
she got Johnny Hot Sauce.
I don't go very far. So other than the ride here, but then we have screaming children in the back of the car. So
there's no podcast.
My standard drives on the daily are like my 4-minute drive to the gym, and so I listen to podcasts in very, very, very small increments. And I've caught a few of Josh's finest moments on the podcast, but
we don't hold back here.
Yeah, I think that, Alessandra, you bring up something important in reference to all the different qualifications and credentials. And it's always been one of my favorite things about how we did things at Level 10 is every time we hired, we looked for someone who could bring something different to the team. Yep. And so we have a PhD in exercise science. We have registered dietitians. We have integrative nutrition coach. We have pre and postnatal coaches, menopause specialists, and a very wide array of different people. And so it's very cool because when someone applies to work with us, and this is, this is how it is at SD as well, and now at Levolution, but someone applies to work with us, and we are able to look at that application and almost know immediately which coach would be best for that person. Mm-hmm. And then we get on a sales call with everyone, or a consult call with everyone. And that consult call usually solidifies who we were already thinking. But it's one of my favorite just sort of pieces of the puzzle, because there's very few people that we have to turn away because we don't have someone for that. And I'm a huge, huge fan of people staying in their lane and staying within their scope. And so we, of course, refer out when needed. But the more we've built our teams and the more we've expanded into different credentials and different qualifications, the more we've been able to help people. So, now we've like marathon runners and ultra runners and competitive power lifters. And it's like, this is so cool. Or like someone who's trying to gain better control of their diabetes. It's like, yep, got a person for that. Yep. And combining our resources and being able to combine SD Evolution and Level 10's resources to bring even more to people, I think is a really big part of the merge. So.
And I want to dive into that a little bit further. So your dad is actually a part of the team.
Yes.
And that's a different dynamic than the current SD audience has been exposed to. So if you want to dive into that a little bit.
Well, first, your dad is literally the most jacked member of the team.
Yeah, dad
Awesome
is
human.
dad is a 60-year-old jacked cancer surviving therapist. Jack of all trades, if you will. And he's a huge reason that I got into health and fitness in the first place. I know, Alessandra, you similar, with your mom and everything. And my dad competed in bodybuilding, and, my parents were like the gym people, and I was at gym daycare growing up. And my dad was a practicing psychotherapist and licensed social worker for 30 years. He worked in an elementary school for 30 years, retired from that, and now works with Levolution. And so we brought him on years ago because we were noticing that, as great as our coaches are, there would be different mental health and emotional health barriers that would come up in a client's coaching check-in. And sometimes, a coach would come to me and say, like, I'm not really sure how to go about this. Do you think I have to refer out? Do I tell them they should go see a therapist? Like, that's a really sensitive topic. And I would end up calling my dad to consult with him about, like, hey, how do we respond to this while also staying in our scope? And it happened enough times where we were going to my dad, or my dad would come to a team call to help the coaches, figure out what needed to get referred out and what they could help a client navigate. And eventually we were like, what if we just add this as a service? What if we have a licensed psychotherapist on staff to help our clients navigate these things? And that was the start of adding mental health services to our coaching services. And that's for sure one of my favorite things that I think sets all of us now apart in the industry, is keeping mental health services alongside fitness and nutrition coaching. Because you guys have seen, I'm sure, there are all sorts of mental and emotional health barriers that come up for our clients, whether it's emotional eating or anxiety, or, anxiety in food social situations, or relationships with food, or body image, or managing fitness as a new mom. Like, these are all actually mental health issues, right? And our coaches do a really good job. And, I know most of our coaches have been through like the health mindset coaching certification, and they have those specialties in health behavior change, but it's not the same as therapy, right? It's not the same of having a mental health professional. So now what we have is a licensed psychotherapist, a mental health counselor, and a maternal mental health counselor, Dr. Nicole. She's awesome. And the three of them essentially take turns hosting team group support calls for our clients every month. And that's been really cool, like group therapy almost for everyone.
At no additional cost to our clients.
Yep, that is included in your coaching subscription. And then, of course, if you wanted to see any of these practitioners one-on-one in a private setting, you absolutely could, and you would have access to that. It's not something your coach ever needs to know about. It's not something we need to know about when you sign up. It's just something that will always exist and is there throughout your coaching journey if at all you want to explore it further.
But what I love about who you have on staff here, including your dad, is like they're so well versed in macros and fitness, and it's not like we've struggled in the past sending our clients off to a therapist or someone who just doesn't understand.
Disorder.
Right.
Oh, you're beating yourself up because you didn't go to the gym. You must have a bad relationship with exercise, or like you're tracking macros, you're weighing your food. That's very disordered. You shouldn't be doing that.
So it bridges the gap there too, which I think is very important to touch on, because that is so hard to find in that space as well.
Not to mention they're just amazing humans. Like before I even met your dad, like we had some conversations online. I'm like, I could just walk into a room and talk to this guy all day.
Yes.
He's like immediate best friend.
Yes. Yes. Scott is so easy to talk to. Our clients who do work with him for therapy absolutely love him, sing his praises. And anytime I post about Scott on Instagram, I will have clients be like, in Scott we trust. We're obsessed with Scott. Scott never leave us. So yeah, I mean, obviously I'm a little bit biased. But he's great. He's great at what he does. And I agree. It's been really helpful to have him have a personal understanding of fitness and nutrition, and also have an understanding of like what our coaches do, know about our coaches, know who they are, to be able to help continue helping clients. Yeah. And really bridging that gap between mental health and physical health.
So SD clients have been familiar with the SDE method. With this transition, we are rebranding that the L5 method, 5 pillars of health: training, nutrition, mindset, movement, and habits. So while we have discussed, things you can include in your daily routine, from, practicing mindful breathing to a mindfulness session to meditation to we've talked about cold exposure, things like that kind of connect with that present moment. Joelle's favorite. We're going to hook her up with the cold plunge before they leave this weekend.
That'll be your initiation.
Oh my gosh, make me do a cold plunge.
You could do the sauna after, but you got to do the cold plunge first.
There are very few things that, if at all, that even the scientific literature could come out with that would make me do a cold plunge.
That's fair.
It could be like add 10 years onto your life and do it once a week, and I'd be like, nope.
That's fair. That's fair. You don't want to. So to be fair, like I am you. There is nothing I hate more than being cold. This came into my life in a period of my life where I'm like, I need a mental resilience practice. Before I knew there was any
you
benefit.
You just have to have a baby, and then you'll know how mentally resilient you are.
I needed it more when we had that baby. When I cut back on training days, I needed it more. So we went from the stock tank
actually
to
birthing a
oh,
child.
birthing. That's fair.
Like I will never. There is not another thing on this planet that I could do that would prove the resilience and mental toughness associated with birth.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it's just like getting kicked in the balls. Like it's almost exactly the same thing.
Like that.
It's exactly
After
the same thing.
we stop recording, I'll kick you in the balls. You let me know.
Kai did that the moment we walked in here. I was just dropped moments ago.
No, but so moral of the story, the 5 pillars are not going anywhere. They are now, you'll just hear us talk about the L5 method, and that's what that is, the Levolution 5 method.
And you're going to have more protocols, more access to different tools.
Yes, there's going to be so much more. There was one more thing I wanted to touch on, and you completely, like we started talking about cold plunging
and birth and getting kicked in the balls.
Big topic. Mindset, mental health.
Nope, it was not related.
Scott's awesome and jacked. No.
Oh, I guess just
a workout program on the app.
Yes.
We're just gonna call it Jacked and 60.
Jacked 60 plus.
Get all the Jack dads on there.
I love it. That's a great idea. No, I was going to talk about... No, it's gone again, Joelle.
Dang it. I'm sorry I did that. That one was me.
Oh, the future of this podcast. So Joelle is not just a guest today. We are continuing, the 3 of us on the podcast. We're going to be long distance podcasting. Yeah. So give us some time to nail that down.
It looks funky,
right
sounds
way.
funky today.
But no, we're really excited to continue these conversations and have just another person here aside from husband and wife, which can get, you guys know, we banter back and forth a little bit, but it's fun, and we're going to continue bringing the education and just these quality conversations to the podcast. So the Fitness League is who we are, and you can picture that however you want in your mind, but we picture it as
a community. We are coming together to create this community of improving wellness. Obviously, the state of the world, the state of our country right now, it's not ideal. So there are things that we can do to come together, literally to just be together, to be closer together, to improve our relationships with each other. But a big part of that is health. We, at any point in our history, have not been in this poor of a position when it comes to our health. And with the resources we have, it's inexcusable. There's no reason to be where we are. Right now, that's what we're doing to make our stand and to create this change, is to provide resources. Down the road, ideally, as we grow, as this community grows, maybe we can play a bigger role in changing legislation and improving healthcare. And, we are moving in the right direction. So I do want to give props where props are due. We have become in the last year HSA, FSA reimbursement eligible.
That's continuing through Levolution.
That's continuing through Levolution, but that is an incredible step. We've been hoping for that for years, and hopefully there are even bigger steps we can take, different things we can lobby for, where your health coaching is just fully covered on all plans. Being proactive. We talk a lot about proactive healthcare versus reactive healthcare, and in the grand scheme of things, and in common sense terms, which we obviously don't operate by common sense in a lot of areas. Everybody wins. You stay healthy. We're able to treat things earlier. The healthcare system, the insurance companies aren't paying these massive amounts of money to treat something that you are already battling an uphill battle with. You treat it early, it's much more simple to treat. So it makes sense for everybody. I think getting the message out there is going to be a big component of that. And as we grow, as our community grows, with you guys alongside of us, we're going to be able to make that ripple a whole lot bigger.
It's going to be fun too. I think obviously for us, like, it's fun being friends and doing this business thing together. But for you guys, like, we have an even bigger team of coaches, and we have our community is just going to it's going to grow so fast. I know it. And it's just going to be, it all comes back around to making this enjoyable, making this something that you wake up and you look forward to being a part of this space. And that's really our goal. So we're really excited. And if you're listening to this when we drop this episode, our new website is up. I mean, everything is
socials.
It's there. So you might see, if you were following Level 10 Coaching on Instagram, that is our new Instagram page for Levolution Coaching. Our SC page is not going anywhere. It's going to be a little bit more focused on the app side of things right now. So follow us in all the places. We'll have all of these things linked in the show notes. As far as like applying for coaching and all that, that process is fairly similar. Like it's
the same. It's all on our site.
You
go on our site,
apply,
fill out a form.
We'll reach out. We'll send you information. We'll get you on a free consult call, and
So
from there.
Right now, guys, your role in this community is simply to be a part of it. It's to share the episodes, turn on the notifications, just stay up to date. Again, with the thing we can't really talk about right now, that's coming soon. That thing
that we're just teasing.
We keep teasing.
Yeah.
It's a good tease, though. It's a good tease. It's
gonna
be awesome.
It's gonna be so cool.
When that comes out, you guys are going to be able to take a much more active role in this community. There are things that you're going to be able to do to be compensated for, and that's not just like, oh, let's start creating ways for you guys to make money off. It's not about the money, but by growing the brand, by growing the audience, by changing the world, we're going to be able to give you guys some compensation for that. So we appreciate you guys for being here. We are, as you can tell, very excited for the things that are to come. This is just a small taste, a little introduction episode, just kind of talking about why we did what we did, teasing the things that are coming next. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we wrap it up?
Covered it on my end.
I think I would just add that, because I think to us, this has been in the making for so long. I think to other people, it's possible that it's like, what, did they just like decide to do this? Like, did they just decide to merge their companies? And so the only thing I would add is that, one, Alessandra and I have been friends for a long time. Other than when she accidentally unfollowed me on Instagram. We're just talk about that another time. We've been friends for a long time. We have literally been traveling back and forth from New York to visit each other, to Connecticut to visit each other. 8 years.
Started off a little sketchy.
It did.
Josh wasn't really trusting of Joelle.
This is the beginning of the online friends era, and I wasn't.
You're about to get New York City. You're going to get trafficked with a random person that you met online.
Like, didn't your mom tell you not to talk to strangers?
Have you seen Taken?
And here we are today.
So I just wanted to kind of preface, like, there was always this friendship here. Then we each had one-on-one coaching companies that were like technically in competition with one another, but like it never affected our friendship in any way or how we did things. We were always like happy to share what we were doing and happy to share what was working for us or not working for us in our coaching businesses. And then we started to co-own another business. And so we kind of left that out of the mix, but we already co-own another business together. And so it was not new for us to be in business with one another, which was another reason that the merge made sense. Like, we already knew each other's strengths and weaknesses. We already knew how to make the puzzle pieces fit. And we already knew, what a working relationship looked like. And so I guess I just wanted to add that context, because otherwise you might just be like, they just like wake up and decide this, but this has been like years in the making in some sense. Mm-hmm. And even the merge in itself, we've been working on for a long time, and obviously no one has known. And Project B working on for a long time, and people just never know like the work that goes on behind the scenes, or like the context or the lead up to something. So I just kind of wanted to add that context.
No, it's good context. And it's like, this has made sense for such a long time, and nobody has really said anything about it until this, even before Project B, but like the concept of Project B. And then they were like, well, what if, like, wouldn't it make more sense if we kind of did this all together? I'm like, we've been, for sure. So that was,
it was actually Project B, that we're just calling it because AB, Project B, that fueled the idea for the merge in the first place. Mm-hmm. And so that's what's interesting, that we're talking about the merge as if that's the main attraction, because it is big and it is significant, but there's another huge piece of the puzzle that made the merge make more sense for us to just do it all together.
It's funny, like the merge, nothing really changes for most people. Like it's just these two similar things are now the one thing. We can put more resources into it, and it makes a lot more sense. Like, we can do this even better, which is very exciting. So there is change. It's not like it's the same thing. But the big change is this thing that's lurking in the shadows right now that we can't speak about yet.
We'll just have to keep
I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, come on. The Bradley Cooper Lady
song.
Gaga movie song.
You know that song.
I thought, is it Shallows?
Yeah.
I said Shadows.
But it sounded like
Okay.
it was rhymed.
I didn't know what
It
even.
worked.
Okay,
It-
that's fine. I'll do Hove. You do Bradley Cooper.
You didn't do it.
No,
Did you?
the intro is allow me to reintroduce myself, and
Now
then
you're confusing
I changed the
everybody.
last word. So if you guys listen
Did
to the
you
intro,
do the intro?
I'm
think so.
inserting the intro.
Oh,
So when you
that
hear it
gets
back,
done
it comes
later.
in, and then I
Okay.
take out Hove, and it's just whoa.
If you were
man.
confused by that intro, that was Josh's grand idea for
Yeah.
today. So.
Yeah.
I have a lot of big ideas.
Some of them don't pass through the
You'll
Joelle
never
and
know about
Alessandra
them.
filter.
It's the first stop is Alessandra. I'm like, if she's almost on board, I'm like, all right, I can take it, Joelle. And then the buck will stop there. She's like, all right, we can talk about it.
No, we're excited. This is all positive things happening, and this is the start of something
Incredible.
even more incredible than has already been. So we are stoked to loop you guys in and finally let this out after holding it in for so long. It's like honestly worse than holding in a pregnancy, like when you're the first however many weeks. Like that was easier for me than this has been.
Yeah.
So
This was tough. Yeah, this was tough.
it's like we hop on stories and you can't say a
our
single
teams,
word.
our
I was
teams
gonna
didn't
say
know
the
forever.
hardest part was keeping it from our teams
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we all have like staff meetings every week, and to get on and be like, oh nope, no updates for you guys, just keep doing what you're doing when all of this is happening behind the scenes. It was you were like trying to, that part was really hard, and then we finally got to tell our teams, and I felt like a weight lifted
Yes.
for all of us.
I agree.
There was like a solid month where it was that, and then there were like 2 weeks where like, okay, there is something coming that we can't tell you yet. We're close, but we're gonna tell you like maybe next week, maybe the next week. But it was just so many weeks of like this still like stuck in the
Teasing,
water.
limbo.
So then it's like, all right, we have to tell you there's something, so you know we're not just sitting on our thumbs over here.
Right.
And
I
then
was like,
they were
they
like,
probably think I just have like given
Yeah.
up. I don't care. I'm not doing anything. Meanwhile, there's all these things happening in the background. Yeah.
months. This is like 2 months of a blur at this point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up here because we have 2 sleeping babies that
Now
probably are not
babies.
sleeping anymore.
Both staring at monitors
But-
with their babies in the crib.
We wanted to get this out to you guys, give you the backstory, and kind of just start and kick things off of the fitness league. So,
Where can they find you?
Joelle Samantha on Instagram.
Alessandra Skutnik. on
I'm at
Instagram.
Josh Skutnik everywhere.
And everything else you guys need is linked in the show notes, including our new website. So go